If I had to build wealth from zero today, with no shortcuts, no inheritance, and no special connections, I would start with something most people completely overlook: awareness. Most people think wealth begins with earning more money. But in reality, wealth often begins with understanding the money you already have. A lot of people are working hard, earning income, and still feeling stuck financially, not because they lack potential, but because they lack clarity. They don't fully understand where their money goes each month. They don't understand how credit works. They don't understand the systems that allow money to grow. So, if I were starting from zero, the first thing I would do is sit down and evaluate my financial reality honestly. I would look at my income. I would look at my spending. I would look at my debt, my habits, and the patterns that may be quietly holding me back. Not with judgment, just with awareness. Because awareness is the first step toward control. And control is the first step toward freedom. Most people never take this step. They feel anxious about money, so they avoid looking at it directly. They check their bank balance only when they have to. They ignore the credit card statement until the minimum payment is due. But avoidance does not make the problem smaller. It makes it bigger. When you avoid your finances, you give them power over you. When you face them clearly, you take that power back. So the first habit I would build is a weekly financial check-in. Just 15 minutes. Review what came in, what went out, and whether those numbers are moving me closer to where I want to be or further away. That simple habit alone would change everything. Once I understand my financial picture, the next focus would be building strong credit. Credit is one of the most powerful financial tools available, yet many people either misuse it or avoid it entirely. Strong credit opens doors. It lowers the cost of borrowing. It gives you access to opportunities when they appear. If I were starting from zero, I would learn how credit scores work, how payment history affects trust with lenders, and how credit utilization impacts financial health. Even small, consistent habits can dramatically improve credit over time. Paying bills on time, keeping balances low, not applying for multiple lines of credit at once. These are not complicated strategies. They are simply consistent ones. And improving credit is not about chasing approval from banks. It's about positioning yourself financially so that when opportunities appear, you are prepared to take them. Because timing matters in wealth building. And preparation determines whether you can act when timing is right. The next step would be increasing income, not simply working longer hours, but thinking strategically about income potential. Many people rely entirely on one paycheck. That paycheck supports their housing, their bills, their lifestyle, and their emergencies. It absorbs every unexpected cost, every difficult month, every financial surprise. That is an incredibly fragile position to be in. But wealthy individuals often build multiple income streams over time, and those streams rarely appear overnight. They are built slowly, deliberately, and often quietly. This might begin with a skill, perhaps freelance work, consulting, digital services, or creative projects. Maybe it is teaching something you already know. Maybe it is solving a problem that people in your community are willing to pay someone to solve. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself with 10 different side hustles. The goal is simply to begin expanding your earning capacity, one small step at a time. Even a small additional income stream can create breathing room. And breathing room allows you to make better long-term decisions. When you are financially desperate, you make desperate choices. When you have a little space, you can think clearly, you can be patient, you can wait for the right opportunity instead of grabbing the first one that appears. that breathing room is worth more than most people realize. The next focus would be discipline. Wealth building is rarely exciting in the beginning. It often requires making decisions that feel uncomfortable in the short term, spending less when others are spending more, saving when others are upgrading, learning when others are scrolling. It can feel like you are missing out. It can feel slow. It can feel invisible because the results are not immediate. But here's the truth about discipline. It does not last forever. It is simply the price you pay during the building phase. And the building phase is temporary. What you build from it is not. Every person who has built something meaningful went through a period where they sacrificed comfort for progress. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. The people who are willing to delay gratification consistently end up in a different financial position than those who are not. Not because they are smarter, but because they understood that short-term discomfort creates long-term stability, and stability is what makes everything else possible. Once income begins growing and finances become more organized, the next step is building assets. Assets are things that contribute financially to your life instead of draining it. Most people spend their money on liabilities, things that cost money to maintain and lose value over time. The newest phone, the upgraded car, the subscription they forgot they were paying for. There is nothing wrong with enjoying life. But if everything you spend money on takes from you and nothing gives back, your financial position will never improve no matter how much you earn. Assets are different. Assets work for you. Investments that grow over time. A small business that generates income without requiring your constant presence. Skills that increase your earning potential. Property that builds equity. These are the things that slowly begin shifting your relationship with money. In the beginning, your assets may be small. A modest investment account, a side project generating a few $100s a month, a skill that earns you occasional freelance work. But small assets, nurtured consistently, grow into significant ones. And that is the moment when the dynamic begins to change. Instead of constantly trading time for income, assets allow money to begin working alongside you. Your effort is still required, but it is multiplied. Every hour you invest starts producing more than just the hour's worth of return. That is when wealth truly begins to grow. There is also something important that most financial advice leaves out. Your mindset about money shapes everything. If you grew up being told that money is hard to get, that rich people are dishonest, or that wanting more is greedy, those beliefs do not disappear when you become an adult. They follow you into every financial decision you make. They make you self-sabotage when things start going well. They make you feel guilty for wanting more. They make you give up right before a breakthrough. So alongside building practical habits, I would work on understanding the stories I tell myself about money. Because the internal work and the external work have to happen together. You can have all the right strategies and still undo them with the wrong beliefs. The final piece is time. Wealth is rarely built through one lucky decision. There is no single moment where everything changes, no single investment that transforms your life overnight, no shortcut that bypasses the process. Wealth is built through consistent decisions made correctly over time. Learning instead of avoiding. Planning instead of reacting. Building instead of consuming. It is the person who invests a small amount every month for 20 years who looks up one day and realizes the number in their account is something they never thought possible. It is the person who quietly built a skill over 2 years then use that skill to launch a business, then use that business to create freedom that most people only dream about. It is not dramatic. It is not glamorous. It does not make for exciting social media content, but it is real. If I were starting from zero today, that is exactly where I would begin. Not chasing luxury, not trying to impress anyone, not looking for the fastest path or the secret nobody is sharing. Just quietly building stability, step by step, day by day, decision by decision. Understanding my money before trying to grow, improving my credit before needing to use it, expanding my income before my lifestyle expands to match it, investing in assets before I convince myself I have nothing to invest. Because once stability exists, everything else becomes possible. Opportunity looks different when you are prepared for it. Risk feels different when you have a foundation beneath you. The future feels different when you are building it instead of just surviving it. That is what wealth really is. Not a number in an account, not a car or a house or a title. It is options. It is security. It is the ability to make choices based on what you want, not just what you can afford. And that is available to anyone willing to start. Not perfectly, not all at once, just honestly, consistently, and with the quiet belief that building something real is worth doing, even when no one is